5 mistakes parents make raising children. By the way, these mistakes your child will never forgive you. My name is Sveta Bugela. I am a hypnotherapist. I'm an expert in subconscious mind, and we will talk about these mistakes through this lens. We will talk about subconscious mind of our kids, which is extremely vulnerable when they are small. From 0 till 7 years old, this is the time when your child is absorbing everything being said, being done in your home, because this environment is extremely important for your child. Why is it so? Because we are adaptive creatures. We adapt to everything that we have. So how can we understand to what do we need to adapt? That's the way our subconscious mind is working. It is just gathering information and taking that in, and then you can build some response to this environment. For example, if you have extremely greedy parents, they're so greedy, so mean to you, they do everything for themselves and they are not doing anything for you. For example, they can give you a small meal and leave for themselves a big one because they are greedy in their core. For example, that's just an example. So, when you understand that, you start building a new strategy. For example, you start to be aggressive at school. You start to be very attentive about your possessions. You are not sharing because you're afraid that all this can be taken away from you, because you're a kid of greedy parents and you just see that you are in this family like a person who doesn't much matter. And that's why you try to build that sense of being just big enough, that sense of being valuable. You try to do it in the opposite method, or in the method that your parents are using. So that's how it works. Being a small kid, you're absorbing everything you have, everything you see, everything you hear around you, and then you build strategies how to deal, how to cope with all that. So actually we are all built from these strategies. These are our masks that we usually use around everywhere during the whole life. And those masks we put on being little kids. So let's get back to these 5 mistakes that parents make. Children absorb all that inside, take that in, and afterwards they will never forgive us because they will have a lot of problems, and those problems will pop up everywhere in all different aspects of their lives. So, first, and I think the biggest mistake, which we even don't notice. We are not setting boundaries for our kids. And it is about United States of America, it is about developed countries where we take seriously personality, where we want our kids to be, like open, accept themselves, and so on. And in order to do that, we have good intentions, and those good intentions, they can lead to something not very productive. For example, when there are no limits and no boundaries in the family. So a kid feels like there is no safety. Because, look, boundaries for a child means he is safe, he or she. Why is it so? Because our psyche tries to explore where are those boundaries to know how to act there. I don't mean that you should be very strict. I mean that there are some boundaries which need to be settled. When you settle them, for example, safety boundaries. We are not running on the road. For example, boundaries about going to bed. We are going to bed at 9:30 or 10 or 8, whatever. We are not using our phones when we are eating. We are polite with our siblings. So these boundaries, they don't mean that you should strictly punish your kid every time when he or she is crossing those boundaries. No, I don't mean it. I mean that when you have them, you try all the time gently push your child back to that safety zone, because every kid will try to break those boundaries. But what happens when there are no boundaries at all? Your child gonna feel like there is no safety. And when subconscious mind is threatened, because that's a real threat, I don't know how to act, I don't know what to do when I'm sad that I was sad. For example, I was told that I can do whatever I want. So at that point, at that moment, I feel like I don't have energy to do anything. I feel like I'm leaking in all the directions around and I cannot focus, concentrate, and so on. And for example, when my mom comes and she says, okay, my sweet little girl, you can draw, you can play with Lego, you can go outside, take the chalk and draw something there, you can play with your stuffed animals. So then I sit and can choose and I feel safe there. But when my mom comes and says, you can do whatever you want, just be yourself, find whatever you want to do, act like you want, do everything, anything, so on. So at this moment, I feel like I'm not safe because I don't know what people expect from me. I don't know how should I behave here. I don't know whether it's good to do this or not good. And you know, I was working with some people who were raised in the families where they have the rule, till 5 years old, I don't set any boundaries for my kid. So till 5 years old, I am letting him or her do whatever he or her, she or he wants to do. So they can paint the walls, they can shout, they can fight, they can do anything. And after 5, I start to be strict. I start to teach them because I think like before 5, kids cannot understand a lot. So it's pointless to punish, it's pointless to set boundaries. So I'll better let them do whatever they want and then I grab them and start to be strict. And that hurts a lot children's psyche from the point of subconscious mind. I'm not a psychotherapist, so I'm telling you that it's important to understand. I'm talking to you through the lens of subconscious mind. And subconsciously, that's a threat for a kid because kid cannot explore where I am, what is happening here. And I don't know how to adapt because I don't understand to what do I need to adapt. So that's the first mistake. Very popular, as I said, in USA especially. Second mistake. Too many boundaries. When we try to set too many boundaries, we are saying no more often than we say yes. For a kid, it's also threat. So a kid feels like I cannot be myself. I cannot explore the world. I cannot feel safe because everything I do is restricted. I'm punished, I'm shouted at, and I feel like I cannot be me. And that's deep, deep limiting belief. I cannot be me in this world because this world will not accept me being me. So I need to have strict rules, to follow them, and then I'm gonna be a good girl or a good boy, and then I'm gonna feel better. But the thing is that such an adult, after such childhood, never ever feels better. They come to me for some session, hypnotic session, and they say, you know, I cannot get enough of control. I cannot get enough of being strict to myself. If something is done 99%, I feel like it's a failure. Though I know in my mind that it's not. I've made a huge job. I've put a lot in that project, but it's 99%, it's not 100. And when I ask, okay, and what is 100? 100 is so perfect, so ideal. And I ask, have you ever reached that perfectness? And the answer is no. Because when we have a lot of strict boundaries around us, being a child, we are trying to limit ourselves when we are adults. We are trying to demand from ourselves more, because for our parents it was never enough, and for us it's also never enough. So don't be too strict, setting too much boundaries. Try to have a balance between yes and no, and this balance should be about safety. So of course, no, you cannot run on the road. Yes, you can run here where there is a fence and I can see you. You can run, you can roll on the grass, you can jump, whatever you want. No, you cannot jump from the sofa to the coffee table because it has sharp parts and you can just fall down there. So you explain, you don't say like no and that's all. You explain why. Why is it no? But we are going to a gymnastic class tomorrow and there are mats, there are different kinds of equipment and you can jump, you can run, you can do whatever teacher says you, and I think there will be the time when you can do whatever you want without even asking the teacher. So that's what it is. Those boundaries which you set and those boundaries which are not necessary. You should balance between that. Third mistake, which also is very bad one. Bad one, I mean like it influences subconscious mind in a very bad way. It makes our subconscious mind to be in the defensive mode all the time, trying to defend, trying to prove everywhere that we are better than our parents thought that we were. So this is comparisons. When you compare your child to someone else, even if it's like a slight comparison, not like, oh, Mike is much better than you. He has A's everywhere and you have B here. So you are a loser. This is too much, of course. But sometimes we have those comparisons, they are a bit like hidden. When we speak to our partner and we say like, kid can listen to it. For example, we are in the same room. Kid is playing with Legos or whatever, or drawing, doing something. And we are talking to each other with the husband or a wife or a partner, whatever. So we have a conversation. And for example, I say, okay, you know, I've noticed one thing. Owen in Jesse's class, he's taller than Jesse. And that bothers me because I think that we should go to the doctor. Something wrong with the height of Jesse. And Jesse hears, not that worrying about his development, about his physical development actually, but he hears Owen is better than me. And that goes to the subconscious mind immediately. Because for the subconscious mind, those comparisons, they are vital. If I compare to someone and if I lose, then I can be dead. It's really like that. So for our subconscious mind, comparisons are extremely important. Because if someone is better for our parents, then we can lose that loyalty of our parents. And if we lose it, then we can die. Because survival mode is that mode which is operated by our subconscious mind all the time. So our subconscious mind is in charge of our safety. And during our development as humans, it was a threat really not to be good enough so we can be just eaten by an animal or whatever. So those programs, ancient ones, are built inside of us, and competition is built inside of us. And that makes us feel awkward, makes us feel tense, makes us feel miserable. And there are different ways how the child can behave, how he or she can adapt. One way is to be competitive all her or his life, trying to be the best one, trying to prove I'm right. And I know you've met such people, like when you're telling something, they say, no, I have another point of view and my point of view is better. My point of view is this, blah, 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 blah. And you cannot prove anything and you say, oh, whatever, let it be. So what I mean, that's one strategy. But another strategy is to hide. If I'm not seen, I'm not compared, because I know I'm worse. I'm the worst kid in the whole school. I am bad. So I am hiding not to be seen. And that's how our kids can hide their talents, can hide their potential, and have a lot of blocks. Fourth mistake, which I've seen a lot, I mean it, a lot. This is called emotional punishment. So we are not punishing now our kids mostly by beating them. We are not using our force, but what we do use is emotional punishment. I've seen a lot of moms when like a child is yelling, screaming, fighting, and she says, oh, I'm so tired. I'm asking you not to do this, please, can you stop? And the child just go nuts. And at that moment, mom just put in a wall. She's not responding, she's not answering, she's not there. She takes out her phone, says, okay, do whatever you want. And she's there. And the kid can go nuts even more. But that energy of being like, detached from your parent, that's what subconscious mind feels. And in that moment, when the kid starts to behave worse, it means that he or she tries to get that bond back, get that attention, but nothing happens. Someone can really calm down and try to get that bond back by calming themselves down, but it's not so usual. Usually, kids are trying to do even worse to get that attention. And also, this mistake you can see when, for example, you are not punishing your kid with hitting him or her, but you say, okay, go to your room and sit there until your emotions gonna settle. Go. So you again separate yourself from them, and at that moment, that kid feels lonely and abandoned. That kid feels that his or her primary people in the world can betray. They can leave him or her alone. And that sense of danger is built inside of their nervous system. And when I work with such people, when they are adult, they are worried, they have anxiety, they are always thinking, what if, and so on. So their level of tension inside is extreme. That is very important thing to understand. And the final, fifth mistake, I call it being absent, even being there. So when you are there for your kid, so you can sit next to him or her, you can be responsible about kids' safety, you can watch your kid, but you're not there. You're in your phone, in your thoughts, you are maybe, discussing some topics with another adults, and that's okay. But when this behavior is usual for you, when you cook dinner and you separate yourself from your kids, putting on your headphones and listening to music or listening to some YouTube or whatever, when you read and say, don't bother me, I'm reading, when you go smoke on your balcony. I had a client like that. Father was coming home from work and going all the time to the balcony, not to the kids, but to the balcony to get 2 or 3 cigarettes. They are just being calm because at his job he couldn't smoke. He rushed home and went on the balcony and smoked there. And that what was inside of his kids. They all were thinking, we are not good enough for our parent, but the cigarette is good enough. So first of all of them were smoking. Second, they were insecure. They felt disconnected, and that was their main wound So that's how you can also do that, by detaching yourself. You are there, you are present. They can ask you questions, they can run to you, they can bother you, whatever, but you are not there emotionally. You are somewhere else. You are trying to be a parent and not be a parent at the same time. So these are 5 common mistakes from the point of view of our subconscious mind. Please subscribe if it was useful for you. Hit that bell button to be notified when there is a new video on this channel. And also, please, if this topic is interesting, write a comment. What did you experience in your life? What was in your childhood common from these 5 mistakes? Or maybe something else you can think of. Share, please, in the comments. And of course, I will read it. And maybe we will continue this topic and go deeper if you're really interested. Subscribe, also follow my Instagram account. There is a lot of interesting information about subconscious mind, and DM me the word hypnosis, and I will send you immediately right away a hypnotic session to open up your true potential. It is absolutely free. Just follow me on the Instagram and DM me the word hypnosis, and I will see you in the next video.